Hello and welcome to the Road to Rec League podcast. I'm Callum, and in today's episode we're going to talk about a streak. So I've had my first I say streak in training anyway. Obviously haven't played any games yet, but we're working hard, practicing multiple times a week at the moment, which is really good. And I'm on a bit of a scoring streak. So I think last time I talked about having back-to-back training sessions with goals. I'm now 4 straight, which is kind of wild, during scrims. These are 5-on-5. And really pleased with that, actually. I think it's a good sign of progress, finding the right kind of areas and stuff, and making sure I'm finding ways to be present and involved in drills, but also in scrimmaging, which is obviously, I guess, the closest simulation of a game you can have without playing a game. So pretty pleased with that. So I've had 2 sessions so far. I'm back out at Learn to Play this evening, and next week there should be a couple extra too, which would be really good. So really looking forward to that. So last Sunday, we'll start with last Sunday's Learn to Play session. We ended up playing like small area 5-on-5 for a bit. It was a really good session, actually. We had effectively sort of 2 or 3 drills. Did some skating practice, basically in lines, which was really good. And actually got called out, quote unquote, as perfect by the coach there. We were doing this sort of like head-up scanning, puck handling drill, and I was able to maintain puck possession, look away from the puck and scan the ice and stuff and maintain that sort of control. And he literally turned around and he's like, that's perfect. People should be doing that, which was crazy to think, sort of where I'm at. And again, I mean, when you look at me, it probably wasn't very pretty, but at least I was doing what was being asked of me. So can't complain. It was pretty good. And I had a really good session generally. Again, so we did this sort of working on scanning without the puck, working on it with the puck, tight turns, working on skating, stuff like that. So just great ice time. I really enjoyed it. And then for the second half of the session, basically did a half rink 5-on-5. So really compacted, really congested, but it does make you look up, think about where you are, try and find space and make the most of opportunities when they come around, which I managed to do. So about 8 foot away from the goal, right side of the goalie crease, sort of, I don't know, I guess you call it kind of in the slot, but not quite, just outside maybe. And pulled the puck on my forehand, and actually ripped it, and I was pretty surprised. It went off the inside of the post, sort of, I guess, low glove side for this goalie. So my bottom left, as if I'm looking at it. I say low, it was probably a foot up off the ground, but yeah, pinged off the inside of the post. Was really, really pleased with that, actually. Just a proper ripper. Got a nice little cheer from the team as well, which is really cool. And like I say, I sort of guess I'm kind of feeling it with the puck on the stick at the moment, being able to put shots on net, and had a couple other good shots, say a couple on target, which is good. Puck handling was there, passing was there, effort was there. I really worked up a sweat, which was great. So I had a good time doing that sort of half ice 5-on-5, and then once we played that game, hopped over onto the other half of the ice, and we did like battle and compete drills, which was really good, actually. Really enjoyed that. I was absolutely gassed at the end of the session, probably even 2/3 way through, honestly. But basically, the way we did these compete drills, there were 2 lines. One half was looking at one corner, the other line was looking at the other corner. And basically, someone would dump the puck in, one person gets there first, and then travels up the boards. So you sort of go to the goal and then turn away from the goal and up the boards. And the idea was basically on the way up the boards, you had to stop, turn, go back towards the goal, stop, turn, come away from the goal. Did it uncontested, did it with a body present and no compete, and then did a try and win the puck. So it was a really nice way of just learning, I guess, that kind of control on the board sort of stuff. And then we ended up doing a 2-on-2 equivalent, exactly the same sort of thing. Dump the puck in. 2 people have got to try and exit the zone. 2 people have got to try and keep them hemmed in. And we did that for the rest of the session. So it was good. It was, like I say, kind of some basic skating drills for the first 20 minutes. A 5-on-5 half ice for 20 minutes, and then compete and battle drills for 20 minutes. And that was I really enjoyed that, I have to say. It was like in terms of ice time and keeping momentum and not just having a scrim for half an hour or whatever. It actually felt really meaningful, which was great. Like I say, I really enjoyed that. There was another cool thing that happened on that session as well. There was a less cool thing that happened. I actually got my first high stick to the face, and this is only a week and a half after swapping away from a cage to a visor. Shock horror. Sod's Law, I think they call it. But yeah, it was the compete drills. It was the 2-on-2, and I'd picked up the puck and I was clearing the zone. And I had body position. I had the puck on my forehand, quite a distance away, so there was no way he was getting the puck. And then he tries to like lift my stick, but slashes my hands twice. And then I sort of try and move a little bit further away, and then he goes to do the same sort of thing and just gets me straight in the face. And so I hit the deck, and to be fair, he comes over, apologizes. It's all fine, like it's going to happen. All I would say is I can now understand how silly penalties happen because again, body position was there. You know, I was closest to the. I was basically making the. There was no way he's going to stop me. And then pulled off that move. So it was a shame, obviously, but it was a really good first experience of that kind of stick to the face. And I think the visor caught most of it, thankfully, so it was doing its job. And I didn't. There was no blood. I didn't come away with any issues. So all's well that ends well, I believe they say. But yeah, it was good. It was a good session. Good to get stuck in like that as well. And the other cool thing that happened was I was actually recognised, which I'm kind of shocked by, from one of my Instagram posts. So there was a chap who came by and he was like, "Are you from Road Directly podcast?" I was like, "Holy shit, I've been outed!" Oh no. No, I thought it was really cool though. Someone, let's say, recognised me from my clips on Instagram and just asked a couple of questions, I guess. And I was like, yeah, I always do this sort of thing. So tracking my hobbies is really important to me. I like seeing progress. Like progress for me drives progress. So I keep a journal of every session I have. I keep a tracker of every hour I'm on the ice. And obviously I do this podcast, and it's a nice way for me to be able to go, have I made progress since August last year? And I think the fact that I've scored in 4 straight sessions, although this was the third one, obviously this Learn to Play, but the fact that I'm able to do that shows you the difference between where I was in August and where I am now. So I'm really pleased with that. Really, really pleased. I did feel like my skates were starting to get a bit dull during this session, and it's really interesting how I'm able to pick up on that a bit more now, and I'm better at adjusting to it, but I still don't like it. I'd still rather have. It's almost like the best cut for me is almost like I've had them sharpened. I've put an hour on the ice. The next session is my favourite. Well, after 1 hour on the ice, I love. And then I've got 2-3 hours of really, really nice, everything perfect, and then it starts. I can feel it start to dull. But it was really good. Really enjoyed that. And something else happened in that session that I tried and didn't quite succeed on. So I don't really know what to call it. But when you're skating forwards and then you transition to skate back the way you came backwards. So it's not like turning from forwards to backwards. It's like stop and transition to go back. I tried for the first time one of those because I thought, push yourself and all that sort of stuff. So you sort of, I've got a comfortable side of rotating my hips, which is, I guess, left to right is probably the best way of explaining it. And so I was coming in, arcing left, and tried to just switch to go to right. And it didn't quite work out as planned. I didn't totally fall over, but I got stuck on my outer edge, and I was like, oh my God, what am I doing? And got very uncomfortable and sort of flapped around a bit and then skated backwards. But it was important to try it. And I think that's something I really want to work on, is that kind of I'm skating forwards, and then I'm delicate enough on my feet to be able to transition to skating backwards, because there are times when I feel like I can get a bit stuck because I can't do that transitional move. Even if I can only learn it one way this year, I mean, that would be a really massive step forward. But yeah, that's where I'm at the moment. So yeah, really good Learn to Play session. Like I say, plenty to work on, and hopefully more of the same tonight. Last night, I had a practice session with a local team up in Bristol for an hour and a half, which is an extra half an hour long session. Was exhausted come the end of it, honestly. The drive home was hard work. My legs were not exactly working. We had shortened benches on both sides for the scrim, and it was like an hour-long scrim, 5-on-5, with 8 people aside. Believe it or not, that's quite hard work. Still, it didn't stop me getting involved and having a good time. And actually, someone came along with me, so I got some footage as well, which is pretty cool. So I'll be able to share that, and that'll be fun. I'll pop that up on Instagram and so forth, and share maybe a bit of it on YouTube at some point as a bit of a clip on some of the things, because I'd like to break down some of my mistakes. There's a really great clip in there, actually. It was good to reflect on. So let's start with the exciting news, I guess. Goals in 4 straight. I didn't say that for no reason. It's because I scored during the session last night. Hard work getting it to go in. The goalie was pretty good. He's a pretty. I mean, I think they're a Div 2 team, so there are 5 divisions in the south. I'm pretty sure they're Div 2, which is quite good. And as I say, this goalie was stopping quite a lot. And I had one really good sort of one-on-one breakaway where the guy cut off the middle of the ice, but I was comfortable enough taking it to forehand and shooting, and I managed to get a shot. It was going top corner, but goalie made a save. But for this one, someone crashed the net. Goalie lost his stick, but was trying to cover it up, and I was there just jamming it against his pads. It sort of squeaked out. I then tried to basically, I guess, toe drag up to the backhand. Someone then sort of interrupted. The puck kind of goes a bit further out. Someone else has a shot and whiffs it, and it ends up on my stick, and I backhand it in because the goalie's preoccupied. Always trying to still recover from making a bit of an extension to try and freeze the puck. So it wasn't pretty by any stretch. It was a greasy goal from the greasy areas, but at the end of the day, a goal's a goal. There are no pictures on the scorecard, as they say, and that kept my streak alive, which is kind of weird, if I'm honest. Having gone from not scoring between August and the middle of December to 4 straight sort of over the last 4 sessions to start the year is kind of exciting, I have to say. And on top of that, I'm not cheating on the defensive side of the game to make it happen. I put in some big back check efforts, and again, one of the things I picked up on was sometimes I make the first effort, but I don't make the right read. So there's a great clip, and I'll probably share it at some point. I make a back check, and it's effectively like a sort of a 2-on-1 developing, and I come back enough to be able to take away one of the options. However, they effectively that I'm chasing, I make speed, I sort of catch up a bit, not quite enough. I'm not on the right side of the puck, but I'm there or thereabouts. And then they go to the boards, and someone else, the other 2-on-1 person, comes by, but I effectively get a little bit suckered in, realise it, and by the time I then try to make my change, there's someone open in the slot. I'm like, shit. So I mean, thankfully it didn't end up in a goal or even a shot on target, and I managed to come across and stop any sort of like third effort. But yeah, it was getting to watch it back and understanding the misread. That was really good. Equally, in the same game, I made a read where another guy was back checking, and I said, "You go for the puck," and then I covered off the other guy that I caught up on, and between us, we did a good job of turning a 2-on-1 to a 2-on-2, and then ultimately stopping a chance. So again, making some better reads, but not perfect by any stretch. And I'm starting to realise some of that as well. Getting footage and being able to watch it back for me is really important. I think it's a really good way of analysing what's going on, because in the heat of the battle, you don't always see it, I guess. Something else that stood out from some of the clips as well is I'm constantly looking around when we're entering a zone, leaving a zone, or the players transitioning. My head is on a swivel, like I'm checking everything left and right, and that's been massively helpful for me to try and understand where people may or may not be. I've still made some bad plays. I had a couple of giveaways in the defensive zone that I wasn't particularly proud of. And one of them was a misread play because I did something that the other guy did before. So it was almost like this backhand to swoop around so that he picks it up. And he tried that with me earlier. I was like, okay, so he knows that's something to do. So I tried it with him, and we just weren't quite on the same wavelength, which was a shame. But yeah, good to pick up some of those reads, I guess. Again, the other thing I will say with having footage is my skating style is not pretty at all. I look pretty bad out there, actually. But it's really cool to see that. And again, like I'm still leaning over slightly too much. Not quite as much as I was, say, a couple of months ago, but still a bit too much. And my stride is a lot less fluid. I take more short steps and fewer big strides. And I think I need to skate more with my legs, if that makes sense. Particularly noticeable when I'm tired and desperately trying to make a back check. But 9 times out of 10, I'm making that effort on the back check. Whereas I think towards the end of the session yesterday, there were some straight legs, I'll be honest, from a few others. But it was good fun, and I was absolutely gassed at the end of it. What else did we get through? So we did horseshoes to warm up. Had a really nice goal on the horseshoes, actually, which was basically the pass came like straight to my feet, and it was zipped into my feet, and there was no way of me stopping it. But there was a loose puck, sort of, again, kind of my favourite spot, right-hand side of the slot. I just rip it, and it goes off the inside of the post, sort of like top left-hand corner. I was really proud of that one. That got a couple of like stick taps and the ping sound off the inside of it. It's such a good sound. I've actually got a clip of it, so if you have the sound on, you can hear it. And that one will be looked at a few times, I think, just to feel good about. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about, I talked about it briefly earlier, is the not giving up sort of my defensive responsibilities in the pursuit of these goals. So yeah, I'm really proud I'm scoring a few more goals. But I blocked 4 shots on Friday. I took one to like the low abdomen area. just getting myself in the way. Block one with a stick, one with the shin pads, and one with a skate. And like I was just getting myself in shooting lanes and closing down people, like winding up slap shots. I wanted to be in the way. I didn't, and I was closing the gap, and it caused multiple. I'll say this much: I think there were the obvious block shots, which is where it hits you, and like, okay, I've physically stopped the puck going to the goal. But there's the things that don't happen because you do the things you do. So like closing down the gap, causing pressure, someone shoots off target, someone whiffs a shot, someone makes a passing play instead of shooting. And I am really kind of proud of myself in a sense to be like the closing the gap, getting my body in the way is something that is not changed. And that's something I want to keep doing, except now I'm a little bit quicker. I can close the gap a bit faster. And because I can stop a little bit better, I don't have to overcommit to do it. So I'm really pleased that part of the game's developing. I actually, this is I guess tells you more about me than maybe anything else. I was a bit gutted that I didn't have a clip of the blocked shot. Like I was so proud of throwing myself in the way, like yes, upright, body in the way, take a hit from the puck, and then get going again and like clear the zone or whatever. I wish I'd had a clip of that, and that is maybe a bit weird. I don't know. But those kind of plays are the plays I'm just as proud of as scoring a goal. I don't know. I just love it. I love being able to be involved in the game that way. So I broke up a few more plays with a long stick as well. So I talk about, like my reach and getting sticks in passing lanes and stuff like that. Like I broke up a couple the other day, yesterday night, and one guy was like, "Oh, fuck's sake," because I was seeming to find myself getting in the way of passing lanes, sort of left and right actually, which was really good, and did a nice little so broke up a pass. Broke up another one, and then ended up with the puck on my stick and played it back to a defenseman, and away we go. So again, it's things like that I can take a lot of pride in. So whether the production is there or not, and I think I talked about that sort of back end of last year, not scoring but doing the right things. So if I am scoring and I'm still doing the right things, when the goals dry up again, because it's unlikely I'm going to score in every single scrimmage I'm in now. So when things dry up and things get difficult offensively, like as long as I've always got doing the right things to fall back on, then I'll be really proud of that. So no cheating on defense, that's for sure. So yeah, really good session. Like I say, hour and a half. So hard work, but like I said, finding ways to make a difference even though the skating's not there. And like I say, when I share some clips and stuff like that on Instagram or similar, it'll be pretty apparent. Like my skating style really is not pretty. It's not there. I'm still like a bottom one on these good teams at skating. And like a bottom 20%, 30%, 40% in some of the other areas, like learn to play stuff. But I'm finding ways to get involved, and I'm putting a hell of a lot of effort in. And actually, I think that effort's translating because people are, always asking me. They're like, "Oh, how are you finding it?" and all that sort of stuff. And I'm sort of explaining. And some people came up to me last night. "Oh, how long have you been skating for?" I'm like, "Oh, well, I started last August." And it's like, whoa, last August. That's some great progress for 5 months, even if I look ungainly and horrible. And like, the easiest way to explain it is when you watch someone like a McDavid like cut a defense apart just with his skating alone. It's the opposite of that, and yet I'm still finding ways to get involved. It's really not pretty. Yeah. What's a good? I'll come up with a good adjective for it at some point, I'm sure. But it is, it's very industrial, maybe. Like it gets the job done. But you wouldn't want to have it as like an art piece in your living room. I'll say that much. So really, really good session. Fitness-wise, generally, just to cut away from skating for a second, not great. I'm pretty sure I'm struggling to lose weight, basically. That being said, I am trying to do a few more things with my, I wouldn't say time, but effort during the week, in terms of just general wellness, like staying hydrated, stuff like that. And trying to build some good habits. So I might have the habits down when it comes to on ice play and working hard and all that sort of good stuff. But off the ice, just building basic habits has always been a challenge for me. So I'm getting some help on that generally, which is good. But something I'm trying to do is just build the right kinds of things into my week, basically. And I like eating more fruit. So even if I'm also eating more bread and stuff like that, as long as I'm trying to eat the other right kinds of food, trying to stay mobile, walk a lot where I can. I did investigate a bit of like cycling to work stuff. It's not quite the right distance from where I stay during the work week to to the office, but it might be possible during the summer months. But it's been raining pretty much every day for the last 2 weeks, and the weather's grey and miserable and horrible. So yeah, I'm not really going to be putting a lot of time in on the bike, I don't think. But it's that sort of thing. If I can find ways to be a bit more active, I will. And I just need to commit to stuff a little bit more. But I'm slowly building the right habits, and I've realised in the past I've set these expectations of myself to build. Like, I'm going to start 10 new things on Monday, and then by Thursday I'm exhausted. So I'm going to do one new thing this week, and I'm going to add a thing every week until 10 weeks down the line I've got 10 new things. But it should be more sustainable this way. It's a technique called habit stacking for those interested. And it's going pretty well so far. I've done 2 weeks of it. I've got 4 things on my list. And when it comes down to sort of halfway through next week, I'll add something else in there as well. So anyway, yeah, that's kind of it really, I suppose. I don't think there's an awful lot else to go through. I'm trying to, like I say, do the right things off the ice, but that is harder than on the ice, honestly. But yeah, all is well otherwise. In the upcoming week, I've got Learn to Play tonight. I've got team training on Wednesday night, and then back on the ice, I think, on Friday for my Friday lunchtime session, which should be great, actually. I'm away for the weekend at a friend's, and then back to Learn to Play. So, or no, I'm not at Learn to Play that Sunday night. It might be an extra team practice if they've got any ice time available, which would be great, because that'd be like, three in the week and teeing up next week nicely as well. But that's it. I'll sort of leave it here, I think. Like I say, the streak continues. Really proud of that. And although it might end tonight or it might end in the near future, I'm hugely proud that I was able to actually say that I did that. Right, that's it. I'm going to call it there. Thanks ever so much for listening. If you've enjoyed this episode, please feel free to leave comments, thumbs up, ratings, whatever they are on the various different platforms that you can find this on, and so forth. And until next time, bye for now.